Dr. Kristy Miller. I'm actually anthropology faculty here at Australia Mountain Community College, but also I am Vice President and CFO of Hi-Fi Color Design. Hi-Fi is a digital coloring studio that specializes in comic books, really, but we also do other print media, movie posters, toy packaging, you name it, and we've worked on it. We work for people like Disney, Star Wars, SpongeBob, anything you can think of. DC Comics, Marvel Comics, Image, pretty much any pop culture thing you can think of, we've worked on some point in the past. It started out that my husband is the co-owner with me, and he is an artist. And so we actually got married in order to get a loan so that we could start our first company. And right out of college, we started Hi-Fi. And he is the art director and creative director, so he oversees what it's going to look like, and I run everything else. So I handle all the clients, all of the employees, all of the paperwork. We have non-disclosures, we have intellectual property rights, we have contracts for all the work we do. I handle all of that. We traffic all of our jobs. Usually it's like a 5 to 7 step process, and so I always know where every job is at any time, and it's my job to keep track of all of that. So I always joke that Bryant is the talent and I am the brains. He doesn't always agree with that, but. So Brian and I started Hi-Fi because he was already into comics, and he sort of got me in. Obviously, I'm an archaeologist, and so I was always into the education side, and he needed help. Our company got too big. Currently, we have between 25 and 45 employees around the world, all virtual, and he needed help. And so he, as an artist, has a particular kind of brain, and me, as the other side, has another kind of brain, and we actually work really well together. So he handles the art side and I handle the business side, and it just meshes really well for us. And that way he doesn't have to worry about all the little details and the trafficking and the clients and all of that kind of stuff. And so for us, it works really well. So I didn't actually desire to grow up to be a comic book artist, but it turned out that I really enjoy it. I was already into comics. And so he kind of pulled me along, and now we've been doing this for about 15 years, and we've expanded out, and we do art education. We've written several books. We do all kinds of things to incorporate both the things that we both enjoy. Comics is an interesting industry because it started out that it was very male-dominated. Used to be that it was really a boys' club, and as we have grown over time, there are more and more women and more people of color, just like everything else. But when I started, I was in charge of all the contracts. So we get a contract for every single project we get. They would not put the contracts in my name. I own 50% of our company, and I am the business partner, and they would refuse. Our biggest client, a major comic publisher that I won't name, would not put the contracts in my name. They would only put them in Brian's, because Brian was the boss. And even Brian would say, it doesn't do you any good to put them in my name. I don't even see them. I don't know how much money we have. I don't know what we're doing. It has to go to her. And they wouldn't do it. To this day, it has to be countersigned. So they come to me, I sign them, and I countersign Brian's name. And they know that, but they still will not take his name off of it. It's been a long, drawn-out process of that. It used to also be that no one would assume that I knew what I was talking about. They would ask, why was Wolverine doing X in whatever video or whatever movie or whatever comic book? And they would just assume I'm a girl and I didn't know anything about it. And I'd be like, oh, it's because, and give them the background story or whatever. And then they would be, oh, all right. And now, luckily, there are a lot more women in comics. Actually, currently, the editor-in-chief of DC Comics is Marie Javins, a good friend of ours, obviously female. And the best thing about that is that she is not the leader of DC Comics because she's female. She's the leader of DC Comics because she's the best at the job, right? And so happened to be a male, retired, and she was running everything smoothly on his transition out, and they're like, oh, you're doing a fantastic job. You're putting in more women. You're putting in more diversity of all aspects. It would be great if you would lead this company. And so she has slid into that role, and it has become much more diverse because of that. Women often, I think, don't support other women, right? And so if we as women support each other, it becomes much more impactful, and we make much more of a difference solidifying our positions. Now, we may not always agree, and not everybody believes exactly the same things, but women supporting each other is going to be a lot more positive than if we fracture and start fighting amongst ourselves. You're never going to get above, right? We're 50% of the population. So we clearly are equitable in many, many ways. So why are we not with 50% of every industry and every job we do? It's not because we are lesser, we're dumber, we're not qualified, right? It's because we don't put ourselves out there. So women supporting women is a 100% way to do that. And my other advice is, although it sounds odd, is be bold, right? I speak to people in a way, I could give you all kinds of anthropology on how people communicate. Women communicate with women differently than women communicate with men, right? And so if you're a boardroom, currently we have to switch in how we speak, and it has to be a woman to men so that they think that we are more equitable for the job. Whereas we can't be so, how you doing, it's good to see you. We have to be more professional, right? And it comes off professional. But that's not really true. And so we need to change the way we communicate and change the way we're perceived. And so by talking like, you know what you're doing, be bold, say what you mean, believe what you're doing, and believe that you're qualified, right? You're here for a reason. So put that out there. And sometimes we get told that we're too strong, we're too aggressive, we're too whatever. But think about if a man was saying that, how would he be treated, right? And if the man saying it would be treated a certain way and the woman saying it is treated in a different way, we're not equitable, right? So it's about how you speak, how you present yourself, and then know your stuff, right? One of the things that I think everybody needs to do is to find your own role models, right? They're out there. There are female role models, there are male role models, there are people of color, and they're out there. People have been breaking ground long before we got here, right? So we need to find those examples. And then when we see them, it becomes easier for us to realize that, oh, we can do this too. There are lots of women who've been working in comics. There's lots of women that have been working in film, in the entertainment industry in general. You just may not have heard of them, right? Lately, we're hearing of more and more, but you need to find your role model and do the research yourself, right? Educators need to point you in the right direction, but you yourself go out and figure out who are the leaders in your field, and don't just do the first Google search and the top guy comes up, right? Dig a little further. See who else was there. What else were people doing behind the scenes? And you can learn a lot more about how they got into their job and how you too can get in there and change the rules, right? It's all about changing the rules.